The spiritual community is rife with narcissists. Because we are a community that seeks to understand what is wrong about this world, we are a vast melting pot of beings who, at our core, are extremely codependent. We are empathic, and we have a lot of love and light to offer those around us. That makes us a feeding ground for narcissists who would infiltrate our self-made communities where everyone is loved, everyone is accepted, and all is forgiven. The proverbial love and light that is encouraged in the New Age dogma is a program of this third-dimensional construct, just as powerful as all the other religious programs. It makes sense that more programs will be tailor-made for those of us who have seen through the religious disinformation and begin looking for truth outside of these institutions. In the age of the internet, we simply must pick our flavor of the day and conduct a quick search of the World Wide Web to find testimonies, literature, programs for awakening, and guidance from and or about literally every kind of experience. We have experiencers in OBE, past life regressions, galactic councils, secret government whistleblowers, ET contact, channel beings, Jesus Christ, Archangel Michael, and the list goes on and on. For a community of codependents that have experienced extreme devaluation in their lives by interacting with narcissists, these things seem so special. We want to feel special and important too. We want to be as enlightened as these teachings tell us that we should be. We want to be chosen as someone important enough to have direct communication with a benevolent being who feels sympathy for the human race and therefore will show us and tell us about our reality and how to fix it, or even save us. We all want to feel as if we have value, we are important, and we are special. Let us suggest that we all have value. We don't need to have any existential experiences to prove it. We don't need to prove that we are better than others. We don't need to find an alter ego or a past life that means, although we don't feel important in this life, in another life we were very important persons. There are a lot of Cleopatras and Napoleons running around on the planet that suggest we have a deep-seated need to feel as if we are someone special. We also don't need to look inside ourselves for evidence that we are an ET masquerading as a human. We don't need to be an incarnation of Isis, Marduk, Enki, or any other being that we interpret as being very powerful in order for us to feel powerful. Consider that what is happening in these experiences is that a person has been made to feel unimportant or powerless in their life, and so they seek to create experiences for themselves that make them feel important and powerful. When we look inside of ourselves and find that we have done this, please know that we understand, and we think you are important, that you are valid just the way you are, your authentic self. We don't want others to be anything more than that. Our authentic self is the part of us that we can relate to. This is the part of us where human-to-human connection can form. It feels very valuable to expose our authentic self to others. We understand because we have experienced it with each other. So many times we have been made to feel that our authentic self is rejected. We become so drained and depleted, our inner critic so loud and ever-present, that we are left with no choice but to take energy, supply from those around us to build us back up. We feel validated, worthy, and appreciated when others tell us how special they think we are. We learn to act narcissistically from our narcissistic abusers, because this is what we are used to, and this is how we have been manipulated into thinking relationships work. For those of us who have an inner critic that is constantly telling us we are not good enough, we are not important, what we say, think, and do is not valued, The spiritual community offers a place for us to regain that value, not only with others, but also with ourselves. Beware of this coping mechanism that we picked up subconsciously from our narcissists. This is where silencing our inner critic can be the most beneficial and important skill we learn. When you learn to silence the inner critic, you become your own source of energetic supply, and that supply comes from inside rather than outside, just as it should. Often, when we have been in relationships with narcissists, we become very familiar with anger. Narcissists are notoriously angry. They are angry at everyone and everything, including themselves. They don't even need to be angry at us. They just need a witness for their anger. For some narcissists, they want you to be angry with them. This is traumatic for an empathic soul. For empathic souls, witnessing this anger is so uncomfortable that we tend to do anything we can to distance ourselves from that which makes us feel so bad. For us, anger becomes bad. We know it makes others feel bad, so we tend to suppress our own anger on a subconscious level. This was surprising to us when we began to try to name our emotions in the beginning of this healing process. We couldn't find our anger. In fact, we didn't think we had any anger at all. It was so suppressed inside of us that even we couldn't find it in ourselves. For some of us, the exposure to an angry narcissist was so traumatizing that we rejected anything that might be similar to this person, and that includes allowing ourselves to feel angry. We, as human beings, with a full range of wonderful emotions, do have anger, and it is okay to allow ourselves to feel anger when the situation is appropriate. It doesn't make you a bad person to feel anger towards someone. And this is where the New Age community of love and light takes a detour from spiritual growth and into suppression and even oppression. Some spiritual advisors guide their followers to follow the path of ultimate forgiveness and love for everyone and everything around us. We are all one. What you do to others, you really do to yourself. While these concepts are true on one level, we should be careful not to use this broad brush to paint every single situation in our lives with the one stroke of love. Otherwise, we might end up tolerating, accepting, and even allowing abuse. When all we feel is love for everything, we become a flat plane of emotion, because love is all we will allow ourselves to feel. We become essentially numb to our own emotions. We become a flat line on the emotional scale. We close, shut off, and withdraw from feeling anything after a time. We are so averse to any emotion that feels bad because these emotions were used as manipulation against us and made us feel bad, that we reject these emotions in ourselves and see ourselves as being bad or being negatively aligned when we feel them. We seek to elevate ourselves above these emotions so that we don't have to feel them. This is contradictory to our core state of being. We were uniquely designed for emotions. We have emotions and we need to express them. The experiment was not designed to see if we could remove our emotions, or even just the bad ones. It was designed to see if we could act with them. This can also cross over into a sort of spiritual narcissism of its own. This is a very high aspiration and seemingly impossible to achieve. It might give those who think they have achieved this an extremely elevated state of being, a sense of being above those who have not managed to do the same, whether they realize it or not. It creates a competitive environment where we might compare ourselves to those who repeatedly remind us of how advanced they are becoming. This can further impact and reinforce the inner critic of those who may be made to feel less than. This creates a kind of spiritual hierarchy within the spiritual community, where people feel there is something wrong with themselves, they are not good enough, and they need to be better or more. People cannot achieve this elevated state of being where they are able to shower the world with love, or they aren't able to overcome their anger at their abuser, might feel a sense of shame at their own perceived lack of evolvement. This is a hierarchy of advancement in the spiritual community, and hierarchy is the tool of oppression by the controllers of this planet. Just as in every other program placed within this construct, and with ourselves as individuals, the spiritual community encourages what the AIF enjoy using against us the most. There is no prize for those who manage to love the most or love the best. We presented an interpretation of love in a previous video that suggested love was the willingness and the ability to take another's best interest as your own. When we shower the world in a blanket of love, are we really willing to take everyone's best interest as our own? What about abuse? What about those whose best interest is to injure us? Should we take these people's best interest and make it our own? We have no answers for this, as each person has the opportunity to decide for themselves what love means to them. We simply offer ideas for consideration, as we find ourselves considering these concepts as well.